I appreciate that, and I do appreciate the fact that 2 days later you called it a terrorist attack. Well, many days later others were using other terms. As I pass over to the minority for a moment, yesterday in a closed session I asked you for the 50-minute tape that exists that would allow us to see the video feed that was available. You said it wasn't available. Another part of government had it, even though you had a copy of it. Have you been able to make that available? Because I think on both sides of this side of the dais, we'd like to see that 50 minutes of video that was turned over by the government fairly quickly.
Mr. Chairman, I have made it clear to the other government entity that has this tape. I've communicated your request to them.
With your recommendation that they do turn it over?
Since this is involved in investigative process on their part, I do not feel that I am in a position to make a recommendation about an investigative process.
Thank you. And for the ranking member's edification, I apologize that I only barely learned about that hearing or that briefing in order to get there for a few minutes of it. I want to confirm the FBI is doing the investigation. They do not have custody. Another government agency does. I don't have any doubt that it's not the investigating agency, the FBI, that has custody of that tape. And with that, yes, of course, Mr.
Same briefing that you talked about, but we were not, the Dems on the committee, we weren't invited.
No, and I apologize.
Didn't even know about it.
Right, and well, no, your committee did know about it.
But we weren't invited. Were you invited?
I learned about it in a discussion with the Secretary of State, and so I went up there only then discovering that they were surprised to see me. But I was glad I went there, and I was glad to have the opportunity to confirm the existence of a 50-minute tape that has been floating around that is not needed by the FBI, but in fact is in the custody of another government agency.
Chairman, I would just one more thing. I think that you would agree that if we don't want to do anything to interfere with an ongoing investigation, do we?
I would like this committee to have that 50-minute tape before the press has it. And quite frankly, we should have had it before today to see it. It is not interfering with an investigation. In testimony the last 2 days that both of our committees had, we were told, for example, that when the wall was blown up some months earlier, they didn't see it blown up because they didn't have the video equipment to do it, and it was pointed the wrong way. They told us they didn't have enough people to man the talk, so they, in fact, were not there being able to pan and look for it. They told us they didn't have the people inside, and much of that perhaps is beyond the scope. But since people told us what assets they didn't have with specificity, and that will be in our report, yes, I would like to see what those tapes did discover. Ms. Lamb told us that there was somebody monitoring the talk. Quite frankly, we were told that they slept there and there were not people to constantly be panning those cameras. So I'd like to see when they began panning them, for example. And there is multiple evidence that we haven't gotten. We're not going to get it here today. I just wanted to make sure that the State Department would be clear that they had no objections to us having it.
Is that right, Mr. Kennedy?
Mr. Cummings, Mr. Chairman, we defer to the law enforcement and investigative elements on this matter.
The FBI told me they don't have it, and it's not theirs, and they don't need it. So hopefully you'll stop using law enforcement, another part of government.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We now go to the very patient gentleman from Tennessee.